The night was quiet when a small orphan girl stood at the gate of a grand mansion, her eyes filled with both hope and courage. She had nothing in her hands, no gold, no gifts, only a promise that seemed too strange to be true. Looking up at the tall gates, she softly said, "Adopt me, and I will cure your kids." Her words carried innocence, yet they also held a mystery that made anyone who listened stop for a moment. Inside the mansion lived a wealthy millionaire, a man who had everything money could buy, but very little faith in things that could not be seen. When he first heard the little girl's plea, he laughed. To him, she was just another child from the streets, speaking impossible words. How could an orphan cure anyone's children? He brushed it off as nonsense, the kind of story people tell to get pity. But what he didn't know was that the girl carried a truth far bigger than her fragile frame. Behind her quiet eyes was a secret that no amount of wealth could buy. The millionaire's laughter would not last long, because soon, his world would turn upside down in a way he never imagined him. The little girl would be at the center of it all. The millionaire's smile faded only slightly as he closed the gates. But the girl's words stayed with him longer than he cared to admit. For years, he had lived in luxury, filling his home with treasures and rare collections. But his children remained weak and often sick. Doctors had visited countless times, prescriptions lined the shelves, yet nothing truly changed. Deep down, the man carried a worry he never spoke of, a fear money could not silence. The girl, meanwhile, stayed near the gate, quiet but steady, as if she already knew he would return. Her clothes were worn, her shoes barely holding together, but her gaze carried a strength that didn't match her fragile body. Neighbors who passed by whispered about her, saying she was strange, maybe even blessed. Some claimed she had healed a stray dog that had been left for dead. Others swore they saw children smiling brighter after spending time with her. Inside the mansion, the millionaire's mind kept drifting back to her words, "Adopt me, and I will cure your kids." It sounded impossible, yet something about the way she said it had planted a seed of doubt in his certainty. He wondered, was she only a desperate orphan seeking shelter, or did she truly hold a gift beyond understanding? That night, the millionaire sat alone in his study, staring at the flickering firelight as his children slept restlessly in their rooms. Their quiet coughs echoed faintly down the halls, each sound a painful reminder of the battles he could never win with wealth. He thought of the orphan girl again, her voice still clear as if she were standing beside him. Her promise felt strange, almost unreal. Yet his heart whispered a question. He refused to speak aloud. What if she was telling the truth? The next morning, the servants reported that the girl was still at the gate, waiting patiently. Some of them urged the millionaire to drive her away, saying she would only bring trouble. Others, however, were curious. One maid recalled seeing her at the market, where she had comforted a crying child who suddenly stopped sobbing and began to laugh. Another whispered that the girl's presence alone seemed to calm people. Meanwhile, the millionaire's eldest son overheard the talk and grew curious. He asked his father why they couldn't at least hear her out, but the man brushed him off, unwilling to show how shaken he truly was. The conflict grew inside him between his pride as a man of logic and his desperation as a father. Yet outside, the orphan girl remained, her calm patience only deepening the mystery. Days turned into a week, and still the orphan girl did not leave. Rain fell, the nights grew colder, yet she stood at the mansion's gate with the same quiet determination. The servants began to whisper more openly now, some calling her a blessing, others fearing she carried a secret too powerful to understand. The millionaire grew restless, torn between ignoring her and confronting the strange pull her words had left on his heart. One evening, his youngest child fell suddenly ill, worse than ever before. Doctors rushed in and out of the grand halls, their faces heavy with worry. Medicine was given, but nothing seemed to ease the child's suffering. For the first time, the millionaire's pride began to crack. He found himself pacing the floors, haunted by the memory of the girl's promise. The eldest son, desperate and bold, slipped out of the mansion and approached her. "If you truly can help," he whispered through the iron bars, "then why do you wait out here?" The girl only smiled gently, replying, "Because your father must open the door himself. Without his choice, my gift cannot enter." That night the mansion seemed to hold its breath. The air was thick with tension, the cries of the sick child echoing in the halls. And outside the gate, the orphan girl stood waiting, knowing the moment of truth was close. The mansion grew heavier with silence as the night stretched on. But, just when the millionaire thought matters could not worsen, another twist shook his world. A stranger arrived at the gates, cloaked in shadows, claiming to know the orphan girl. His voice was sharp, his presence unsettling. He warned the servants that she was not a blessing, but a danger, that wherever she went, misfortune followed. His words spread quickly through the house, feeding doubt into the millionaire's already torn heart. The girl, however, did not flinch. She looked at the stranger calmly, her eyes steady as if she had faced him before. The servants noticed that tension between them, as though an old secret bound the two together. Whispers filled the mansion. Was she truly a healer, or was this man telling the truth? Meanwhile, the millionaire's youngest child grew weaker, each passing moment tightening the grip of fear around the family. The eldest son begged his father to act, while the stranger's warning echoed in his ears. Pride, fear, and desperation clashed within him, leaving him paralyzed at the very door that could decide everything. Outside, the orphan girl waited, unwavering. Yet now, with the stranger's arrival, the stakes had changed. The millionaire faced not only the mystery of the girl's promise, but also a shadow of doubt that threatened to shatter everything he believed. Thunder rolled in the distance as the millionaire stood frozen between the cries of his sick child, the calm gaze of the orphan girl, and the sharp warning of the stranger. At last, his pride gave way to desperation. He rushed to the gates, unlocked them with trembling hands, and pulled the girl inside. The stranger shouted, warning that he had doomed his family. But the millionaire ignored him, carrying the girl into the grand halls. The moment she stepped across the threshold, the air seemed to shift. The restless child, pale and struggling, suddenly grew quiet. The girl knelt beside the bed, whispered softly, and placed her hand gently on the child's forehead. Within minutes, the fever broke. The boy's breathing steadied, and color returned to his face. The servants gasped in awe, the eldest son clung to hope, and the millionaire felt tears burn his eyes for the first time in years. The impossible had happened before his very eyes, but just as relief washed over the family, the girl turned toward the stranger. Her expression hardened as she said, "Your lies end tonight." The man's face twisted with fear, and he vanished into the storm, as if swallowed by the night. The millionaire, shaken yet grateful, realized the girl had not only healed his child, but also driven away a shadow from his past he had never known existed. Yet even as peace returned, one question lingered: who truly was this orphan girl, and how far did her gift reach? The storm slowly passed, and with it came a calm the mansion had not known in years. The millionaire looked at his son, now sleeping peacefully, and then at the orphan girl who stood quietly by his side. For the first time, his heart softened. He understood now that her words had never been a plea for pity but a promise she was destined to fulfill. The servants, once doubtful, now treated her with awe and respect. The eldest son, who had trusted her from the beginning, stayed close, asking questions about her gift. She answered simply, saying it was not magic, but something. She carried in her heart a gift of love, faith, and patience. The millionaire, humbled, realized that all his wealth had built walls but never true healing. By choosing to let her in, he had given his children more than health. He had given them hope. Days turned into weeks, and the girl was no longer seen as an orphan, but as part of the family. The whispers of neighbors changed to, where once they questioned, now they spoke of miracles within the mansion walls. The millionaire, once known only for his riches, was now known for his gratitude. And the girl, once standing alone at the gate, had finally found her place not just as a healer, but as a daughter.